Hey everyone, here's what's coming up tonight on Now. How Mainers are one step closer to having regular access to recreational marijuana.
A glass of milk or beer? An unlikely combination, but an abundant, sustainable resource is bringing those two things together.
India Street used to be one of the worst neighborhoods in Portland. Now it is the hottest, thanks in large part to a local brewery. That brewery is not done changing the landscape of the old port either. That story in part 4 of Portland Reborn. This is News Center Now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Nelson. Glad you're with us. It has been more than 2 years now since Mainers voted to legalize recreational marijuana, but despite it passing, business people are still waiting for the green light to set up shop. That is because Maine lawmakers are still working to make sure the proposed rules and regulations work for everybody before they send them on for the final approval from the legislature.
Our Samantha York heard from a number of Mainers today, all hoping their suggestions make the cut. Hey, Sam, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Yeah, so I met with members of the Office of Marijuana Policy today. They opened their floor to anyone who wanted to voice their opinion and concerns about the current proposed rules. Many people who showed up today say they're thankful that the process is happening pretty quickly, but others say it's a time to officially get Maine on the marijuana map.
Committee members, thank you for holding these hearings.
As Maine gets closer to establishing official recreational marijuana rules, this group has one thing on their mind.
If we move forward, there's no going back.
Moving forward with a plan that works for everyone.
We want to make sure that this is a Maine-based industry.
Last month, new rules were released surrounding how adult use marijuana businesses would be regulated, sparking this conversation between state officials and the public.
People seem appreciative that they're actually having the opportunity to lay eyes and comment on these rules. And we look forward to seeing what we should change and what we shouldn't.
Changes to things like how long someone must have residency in Maine before opening up shop, saying 4 years is too long. Fine-tuning where and how many shops can be established in one area to avoid congestion, and finding an eco-friendly alternative for the required packaging.
Many other states are starting to encounter mountains of plastic and garbage that is causing significant environmental concerns.
As lawmakers weed out what works and what doesn't, Mainers remain hopeful, saying they're willing to wait as long as the job gets done right.
It's time to get this market off the ground.
Now, if you couldn't make it today, don't worry. You can send in public comment for the next 10 days, and there'll be even more once this officially makes it to the legislature in Augusta. If you'd like to read more about the rules and regulations fully, we have posted a link on our website, and the goal is to get this taken care of by the end of this legislative session, which is mid-June. So it's coming right up.
Right around the corner. Interesting. All right, Sam.
Guys.
Thank you very much.
Well,
let's talk about the weather.
I know.
Shall we?
We're closer and closer to that holiday weekend.
Yeah, it started out kind of nice today.
Yeah.
It's looking cloudy right now. What's the scoop, Keith?
It's almost like played out the way we talked about yesterday.
Or not.
No, what did I say? Cloudy by 2 or 3? That's what happened, right?
I think it was 2:30.
But it
was right between those two.
What a jerk. All right, it ended up warm because of the early sunshine. 71 in Sanford, 64 in Portland, 65 in Augusta, 68 in Millinocket. Those were the official highs. You can see the clouds streaming in from basically the northwest here, part of a warm front, and the showers not far behind it. And so the cloudy up was the first part. Here comes all the shower activity and the rain. And some of this here is a little heavy, so as it goes in New York and Cumberland County, it will stay moving towards us and hit the ground. Some of this is lighter, so some of it's evaporating as it leading edge moves in. But obviously a big slug of rain back to the west means that it will be raining tonight pretty much statewide. Look at the computer model, what thinks is going on versus. This is always very interesting. This is when you know a model's having a hard time. Okay, this is reality. This is what the model thinks is happening right now. So what that tells you is that the model is too dry, right, on the eastern edge. We do this a lot with weather forecasting. And so all these showers are obviously already pretty much here, so they're going to be here overnight tonight. But what it tells us is that they will be out of here quicker than this model has it as well. So I think tomorrow's not as bad as it originally looked, guys. And the weekend's still looking pretty good. We're getting basically 2/3 of it on the nice side of things.
All right.
Not
That's
too
good.
shabby.
Thanks,
Keith.
Keith. In the news now, a bill to end Maine's religious and philosophical exemptions to vaccines is heading to the governor's desk. The Senate voted 19-16 today to enact the bill. There was a lot of activity on social media about this story. Kira writing to us, vaccines are not a government conspiracy, nor are they a big pharmaceutical money maker. Vaccines are life-saving. Pamela says informed consent was sufficient. Government mandates on putting foreign material into one's body is wrong. We'll have more about the protests that took place outside the State House today in the next 90 minutes on News Center Maine.
Now to an update on those plans for a new multi-million-dollar vessel to take people between Portland and Peaks Island back and forth. It is looking like Casco Bay Lines will be welcoming a bigger boat after all. Some islanders had raised some concerns over the larger capacity of the new boat, citing a lack of infrastructure on the island to support an influx of visitors, especially in the summertime. But today, the Casco Bay Island Transit District Board of Directors voted to implement a larger capacity ship. The vessel will be capable of carrying 599 passengers and 15 vehicles. Capacity will be restricted on trips from Portland to Peaks, but not the other way around. The new vessel is still in the design stages. Casco Bay Line says there will be more opportunities for public input, and it should be in service by the summer of 2021. So not for a couple of years.
Sure.
Whether you are drinking a glass of milk or a pint of beer, chances are in Maine your beverage is locally sourced.
Something else to raise a glass to? Solar power. It's how one brewery plans to mop up its carbon footprint. Fresh milk from the farm and craft beer from the tap. The connection here? Solar power.
It's no secret that a brewery is a manufacturing plant. We have very large industrial motors, and it takes a lot of power.
Dan Kleban co-founded Maine Beer Company in Freeport a decade ago.
Just reducing our use of fossil fuels is not enough.
And Dave Herring is the executive director of Wolf's Neck Center, also in Freeport. The two have linked up, helping each other and the planet.
Our goal is by 2030 is to be generating more energy through renewable energy than we use.
Kleban has run out of space at the brewery for more solar panels. Herring has the space above a new dairy barn. His hurdle? The cost. Revision Energy installed the system and helped secure financing. But this is where Maine Beer Company comes in. They donated $25,000, so when Wolf's Neck Center is ready, they'll be able to purchase the solar array.
I don't care if that power is going directly back to my brewery. If I can buy panels for nonprofits that otherwise couldn't afford to buy them, and they use that energy, in my mind, in a global world that we're living in, I'm offsetting just as much of our carbon footprint.
Wolf's Neck Center and Maine Beer Company steps closer to their goals.
This, along with another array that we put on another one of our barns, will make us about 50% solar powered this year.
We want people to be able to drink our beer and drink the best beer possible, and also feel good about doing it, knowing that what's going into that beer is coming from a good place.
And according to the governor's energy office, there are currently 4,500 solar projects roughly happening right now in Maine. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Well, up next, Uber is taking ride sharing underwater.
That's pretty cool. And the hottest neighborhood in Portland wasn't always the hottest. How one brewery helped start a transformation and what they're looking to do next in part 4 of Portland Reborn coming up.
Welcome back, everyone. The redesign of the $20 bill featuring Harriet Tubman will no longer be unveiled next year.
Yeah, this is the word coming from the Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. The unveiling was scheduled for 2020 to coincide with the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which of course granted women the right to vote. According to Mnuchin, the design process has been delayed and no new imagery is going to come out until 2028. Mnuchin says new features are coming first for the $10 bill and the $50 bill. The Tubman design was announced in 2016 by former Treasury Secretary Jack Lew. The Australian state of Queensland and the ride-sharing company Uber announced today that they are launching Scoober, the world's first ride-share submarine. It's going to the Great Barrier Reef.
The name is almost too perfect.
I know, right?
Passengers will be able to book the experience through the Uber app, and then they can be picked up from their location, then fly via helicopter to Huron Island, where they will board the submarine. According to Scoober Queensland's website, the experience will run from May 27th to June 18th, and it will cost $2,000 for 2 people. Okay.
Because we probably couldn't fit any more than that in that tiny little submarine. Very neat.
Yes.
Very neat.
I'll stay on dry land for now.
Okay, fair enough. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at Shipyard's unusual approach to becoming a really big player in the Maine beer scene and beyond.
And speaking of unusual, Keith is back with his full forecast. True.
All right, we're back. Keith is here. The sun is not, but we're holding out hope that we're going to see it for a good bit over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be rainy tonight and showery-ish tomorrow, but the weekend's still looking good. And
fair
can't
trade.
complain. I know you guys got a graduation, right?
We do. We have actually
in
an
the morning?
event tomorrow,
tomorrow.
afternoon, and then the graduation itself on Saturday morning.
So tomorrow afternoon, not so much, but Saturday.
I think that's indoors.
Oh,
I think
okay.
tomorrow night's indoors anyway, but
limited
Saturday's
tickets.
outside.
Now, did
no,
they,
the Saturday one's outside.
Did they give you all your money back at this event?
Yes.
Yeah, that's how
Yes.
it works.
Yes.
It's not a gift card to Chili's. You're going to be going there for a long time.
I'd go there for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
and so would everybody else I know.
Plus some. Plus some. 72 for a high today, 64 in Portland, 62 in Wiscasset. This reminds me, somebody asked Corey yesterday if you drive a Lamborghini for real, and we said yes. It's yellow, 1 Congress Square, Portland.
Yes,
Clouds coming in. Clouds coming in here from the west and thickening up quickly. We do have some showers too. Some heavier stuff down across southern New Hampshire that's going to get into York and Cumberland County. So this will come straight across, probably clip Portland with a few downpours in the next hour and a half. The rest of this is filling into a lighter rain, but everyone's going to be wet here overnight tonight. We talked about this model being obviously behind on the scheduling of the showers, and so as you see showers tonight and early tomorrow morning, they'll be farther along than this because the ground truth is just not there. That's good news for tomorrow morning. It means probably just a couple of showers around tomorrow, first half of the day. By tomorrow afternoon, we start poking some holes in the cloud cover, and we might actually get a decent sunset tomorrow night as all of this starts to clear out, and then we're in good shape for Saturday. So the parts of the weekend that I love are Saturday, first half of the day, and almost all of Monday. So we're in really good shape Saturday morning. You want to get out, do whatever. It's going to warm up pretty quickly into the upper 60s here by Saturday afternoon. Then here comes some clouds, and the rain comes in on Saturday night. And that lasts through the evening, through early Sunday. And then Sunday, the middle of the day looks good. We start to bubble up. We get a little warmer into the 70s. Showers and thunderstorms pop up on Sunday afternoon, and then those simmer down. This is an easier way to look at it. Chances, bar graphs. It's kind of like mathy, but you start out on Saturday, it's good through noon. Afternoon, you start to pick up a chance of shower. It rains overnight. Then Sunday, you get a chance of showers. The middle of the day looks good. Back to showers and thunderstorms on Sunday afternoon. Notice I didn't put Monday in here because it's not going to rain, so we don't need to give you a bunch of zeros there. By the way, recent Memorial Days, we were kind of dogging on it, and Ryan went through. They actually weren't all that bad. So last year was okay. 2017 was trash. But look at 2015. I wasn't here for that. That's a good one. I don't know, 84 and 80. So recently, they haven't been terrible, but you can catch one in the 40s, and you remember that when it happens.
Right.
So I think that's where it comes from. And then we're watching a pretty warm chance mid-next week. Massachusetts looks likely to get into the 90s Wednesday and Thursday. I'm still weighing whether or not we can fight off our cold ocean and get there, but it should be mild either way.
I love the text hot-ish.
Yeah, hot. Like I don't know, because hot to me in Maine starts at like 83.
Okay.
So we got a chance to be around that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Getting
Sounds
there.
good. We'll take it.
We'll take it for sure. Thank you, Keith, very much.
Well, If your parents and grandparents were beer drinkers, chances are they drank Bud or Miller or good old PBIs, as I want to say. Sure, there were a few others, but those were the big three around here, and they were for a long time. Fast forward to now, those big industrial beer producers are laying off people left and right.
Yeah, one, because beer consumption is actually down a little bit in the United States, surprisingly, and two, because craft beers are gouging into the profits and the market share of the big guys. So this evening, we have a look at one of the older craft breweries in the city of Portland. We wanted to hear about the decisions they made that paved the way for the great beer flood of the 21st century. Here's part 4 of Portland Reborn, From Hops to Hospitality.
You're not shy, you get around. Guys doing this evening?
Good, how are you?
Burning hot.
I don't really want mead, but do you have any other sours?
Yeah, we got a bunch of sours. But you don't feel the pain.
I'm just gonna do the crab ragout cheesecake.
Yeah, the grilled cheese. Yeah. Sure. Wasn't hurting anyone. I knew what you meant.
You'd probably be singing too if your job was to give happy drinkers a plethora of local craft beer options every night of the week.
I have all kinds of treats on for you.
Here at Novari Res in the Old Port, they have 20 main beers on tap, another 100+ local beers in bottles. It is a smorgasbord of flavor, an amber wave of grains and hops, if you will. A great place to grasp the full size and scope of the Portland beer scene.
Thank you.
One of the first main breweries to gouge into the profits of those big industrial brews was Shipyard.
Did you want a beer?
Fred and Bruce Forsley, cousins, wanted to capitalize on a new trend they had noticed back in the late 80s.
Somewhere in that time frame, imported beers started gaining in popularity. Heineken, Bass Ale, Guinness. And those brands really, I think, were the inspiration to Americans of that generation that there was better beer out there.
And the Forsleys thought they could make better beer too. So in 1992, Shipyard was born with a very specific consumer in mind.
The original beer was designed to appeal to the Canadian tourists.
Interesting.
Hence the name Shipyard Export, our flagship brand. Modeled somewhat after what many of us drank growing up, Molson Export,
absolutely.
The Canadian tourists loved it, but so did the locals, and Shipyard grew right away, a little too fast at first. Their biggest problem was keeping up with demand. They started brewing in a pub in Kennebunkport in 1992, but the Forsleys quickly realized they needed a new location.
We moved to Portland because we wanted to be a destination. We wanted people to come specifically to see Shipyard as part of their Portland experience, and that's why we chose a place downtown Portland. Now, we've seen dramatic change here. As I said,
this neighborhood, unbelievable.
Incredible.
There is no doubt that Shipyard has played a huge role in revitalizing the India Street neighborhood of Portland. Back then it was full of abandoned buildings, and Shipyard took over one of those abandoned buildings, started pumping out the beer. Now this is the hottest neighborhood in the city of Portland. Shiny new hotels, new restaurants, of course the brand new world headquarters for WEX, which is here specifically so its employees can take advantage of all that is cool and trendy in downtown Portland.
And to be cool and trendy, you need merch, and Shipyard has plenty of that. It plays into that brand loyalty idea that all the brewers embrace. And the Forsleys have another innovative idea to bring even more people to their neighborhood.
The Brutel.
Brutel, right.
A beer-themed hotel, or Brutel as they're calling it. Yes, a place to crash after a long night of responsible drinking, but it'll be more than that.
We're going to give you a one-day pass. The goal is to have a walk-through brewing experience. You come into our tasting room, and you're able to walk through, see how beer is being made, and then...
And for those folks staying at the Brutel, this will be part of what they can sign
part of the brewing, part of the Brutel experience. Yep.
There's that word again, experience.
Hey man, how are you?
The chefs and the brewers want to do so much more than just fill our bellies.
This is the lobster roll. We don't use that frozen Canadian stuff, right? Because we're in Portland, Maine.
That way we'll keep coming back for more. and we'll need a place to stay when we come.
Beer hot tubs reputedly has a number of health benefits beyond drinking.
Maybe the Brutel.
I mean, who hasn't heard of a beer shampoo?
Or maybe one of the other new boutique hotels popping up all over the peninsula.
We've also found at the Press Hotel that we're attracting a type of guest that probably wasn't coming to Portland 5 years ago, or certainly not 10 years ago.
That part of the hospitality story.
A lot of little detail touches in this property.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so all these people flocking to Portland, they need hotel rooms to stay in, and don't worry, there are already a bunch of new ones open, and there will be a bunch more. They're already under construction, so we're going to show you where tomorrow night as we wrap up the series.
Good news for visitors.
Yes, indeed, although they are pretty pricey. I don't think there's any, cheap ones being built. They're all pretty nice boutique hotels. So
you gotta splurge if it's
you're
vacation,
gonna have to splurge,
right?
Yeah. But you're splurging on the food and the beer already. You might as well splurge on the hotel room too. Right?
Exactly, all the way. A lot more coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. Cindy Williams is here with more on that.
Hi guys, can you believe hurricane season will be here soon? Forecasters are warning people all up and down the Atlantic and East and Gulf coasts that it will be here before you know it. We're going to take a look at what they're forecasting this year, what that season's supposed to look like. Plus, you obviously know about those DNA tests that you can do at home. Well, people have really started coming out with some crazy stories about things that they have discovered about their family. And we have a couple of doozies for you coming up at 5:30. Back to you.
That should be interesting.
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I did one of those. I didn't find out anything interesting at all in mine.
Sometimes you were actually less interested.
Yes, yes, I got way less interesting. Right.
Very good. Brain drops after this.
All right, today's Brain Drops is interesting because I actually had not heard about this until today. I saw it on a tweet and then I kind of investigated a little bit.
You verified?
Yeah, verified. So 5G, which they're going to be deploying here, obviously it's a big deal as far as cell phones and maybe not even needing Wi-Fi anymore because it's so fast. It's going to interfere with weather satellites. And so what happens here is there's only so many frequencies out there. And the 5G one is too close to what we use to sense water vapor in the atmosphere via satellite. And so the problem is it'll basically create a bunch of noise and we won't be able to tell what water vapor is and what isn't. So here's the problem with that. That goes into our computer model. So NOAA's chief right now, acting chief, is claiming this could set us back up to 25 or 30 years in weather forecasting. I think that's a little aggressive. I think he's trying to make his point. But certainly, it's, you know how they say garbage in, garbage out with food? Well, same thing with weather data. If you don't get the right information in, so what's the water vapor doing, what's the pressure doing at the surface right now, then the models that spin up the future will do a poor job going forward because they got the wrong information to begin with. So it's an interesting battle because, of course, cell phone companies are saying, no, this isn't going to be a problem. So we're not going to stop 5G. It's too big of a deal for the world, but I'm interested to see if we can find a way to work around that because we don't want to go backwards.
No.
We've been getting so much better at weather forecasting. We want to keep going forward.
Oh, there's got to be room for both. We've got to make it happen.
Exactly.
News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now.